Hello. Hey everybody. What's up? We're gonna talk about Hey everybody. We're gonna talk about um average or how average is an average person. Everybody's basically average, but like you can be different types of average. Like you're born and then you learn yourself and then you kind of like make the most out of yourself, and then from there you become who you are. Like we know what average is, but what really is average? Because like a person can kind of like, of course, be like a Jeff Bezos or something like that, Mark Zuckerberg. We know the difference, but you can be another type of average person like me or whoever and be something like be kind of established or less and still be an average person. So really it depends because like on the person that you're seeking out and stuff like that, because some people who are average are not just average, and then within being average there's different types of people that are average. So like you guys want to come up, like we can talk about it, but yeah, average can be like different kind of things, but we know like what type of average for the most part someone might be seeking out or not seeking out. So like with every average person that gets born and they figure out themselves and they might be born like a certain kind of person, but they don't know themselves like that. So you basically, like anyone, you go out into the world and you figure things out and you kind of like learn by yourself with or without help, of course, some things, but and like you can be naturally something, but you still have to find it, or you can be not naturally something and learn it and all that other stuff, but it's all a mixture of all that kind of stuff, you know? But like you're still average, and I mean, even an average person can still be kind of like average, but not average at the same time. I think. But yeah, what really is like the average person that everyday average person that certain people are looking for? Because most people look for average or more, but it's all types of average. Because I think everybody, well, not everybody, but most people are average, and some people are more than average. But of course, you can probably be like average with nothing and be a person who's kind of like have potential, which we all have, or you can be average with talent, like a lot of people, but you still have to explore it and find it. So that's also a true thing. Like to tell the truth, I think most people they actually get average people because most people get born from average people and they can be born like something that's not average or they can be born average too. So it all depends because the people that have certain things that others don't have or like the minority and not the majority. So if that's the case, most people will be like basically average. But then at the same time, every average person can potentially be what they want to be and they can become more than average, right? If you know what I mean. So like you never know. But like I think if you have like two different people, totally different people like we all are, you can make like someone who's of course like a mutant, kind of like on what do you call it? Kind of like the mutant on Underworld. 2 or Underworld 1 or something, where they had the wolf and the vampire. They had a mutant person and made a super being or something. So going back to like the Kevin Samuels whole thing, anybody can really be, of course, average. I think we're all like average, but in some ways you're actually not at average. So we can go either way. It's kind of like an eye of the beholder type thing, but it's not really that because you can be far more than that and be like beyond average and still be average, or you can just be totally not average, you know? So there's different ones you can probably be, but it just depends on the individual and who you're seeing, like seeing as the average person at best. And that's going to probably determine how you view it and the circumstances and stuff like that. Like if you look at people who are super tall and giants, if you ever saw the show that have like the family or some person that's just really tall and most people aren't, then that would be probably a singled out person for that type of thing. That would be like the minority because they're not like average. So probably it depends on what you like or whatever and what's the media's pushing, like what you would probably seek out and what you like. You would probably like that person or you probably not like that person. So like yeah, like people usually kind of tend to like whatever they like for whatever reason, but of course, the media probably plays a part in it, of course, but It's all different, you know. I think everyone wants something that's not average, but at the same time, you want something that is average because you're gonna be wired to like something that you personally like. And if the majority of people like the same thing, then that's gonna be the majority. So whatever is not average, that makes sense, but it also doesn't make sense to also want that thing. Because if a lot of people isn't wanting that thing, that could be a good or a bad thing. It just depends on the situation, the thing that you want. So like if you know what I mean, like if nobody really wants that person for whatever because they have a quote unquote bad feature, then that's not a good look for most people because most people are not going to gravitate towards that thing, you know. So that can be a good or a bad thing. Like it's always different. So, hey everyone, you can click the link if you want to join the StreamYard and please come up and I want to hear you guys. We can talk and enjoy the night and stuff like that. Anyways, if you like to join, click the link and come up and we can have the discussion about average because like most people who do anything work, whatever your characteristics are or whatever, is kind of like considered average for the most part, right? But sometimes when you get here and you start off the same way as everybody and you wind up being different, that's also considered can be considered a person that's average, but when you change, you're probably not going to be considered average anymore. It's like probably like if you ever watch like something like I don't know, maybe it was a nerdy person and then they didn't get likes, but then they probably turned into like a girl like from Clueless. Like say if it was a girl like eyeglasses or whatever, pimples, and they weren't like the person who was like getting checked on and hit on, but then they changed and had a full makeover, then they would probably be like not average anymore, but they would be the same person. So it's always like it's an interesting thing, you know? That's what I think is different. It's interesting thing. Sometimes average is not really average. Sometimes it is be whatever. So you never know. So the last thing I had mentioned was average with offers is like anyone can be average with offers. That's like a person who's regular, like everybody who just gets born here and you're you, but you have to find you. And you probably you don't know, like you might be a Jeff Bezos or you might be like a regular person on the street or whatever. You can be whatever, you know? Yeah, yeah, any of you guys want to come up and join and just talk about just an interesting topic, you can join or just stay in the chat or whatever. Oops. Hey, back. So if you want to come and join, click the link and join. Hope you guys are having a good day. We're going to talk about average at best. Like most most people, like I don't know. Of course, is like average, but you can probably like, of course, like change it different ways. You can change it and stuff like that. So, but some people are, well, everybody is like that in some kind of way. But I know what they mean when you're considered not that and are that. But at the same time, you can be a little bit average, and in some ways you cannot be, and you can be just half and half, you know? So there is that factor too, you know? So nice. Don't work too hard. Yeah, and stay warm. It's cold here. I don't know where you are, but yeah, it's cold over here. And I think it's gonna get pretty colder. They talk about like, different things. I mean, the sun was out, but like it still was kind of cool. Like felt good, but it wasn't like too cold. But the sun was out to help too. And earlier it got kind of like hotter, but it was still a little bit cool and then it got cooler, but it wasn't freezing like yesterday, so I think that's gonna change. Get the likes up and like their channel and share it and stuff like that and chime in. So like it all depends because most people at the end of the day I think is pretty much wind up being like, being an average regular person and you can move up from there just like anything else. But if you speaking of a person who's probably like, I guess like who's got everything and they're not like just average at all anywhere, then I guess they probably wouldn't be considered like your average person. They be beyond that, like far, far more beyond that. So yeah, you can kind of become what like we want to be, but if you're like probably like born like with a silver spoon in your mouth, or if you're like got something about you that's like stands out. Of course, everyone is different and has that, so I know. But if you have certain things that makes you like whatever, like way different, then that will be considered not like average. Of course, that would be the rarity or something. So of course that makes sense there when you're talking about that. So what really is average, you know? y'all get to like sup, come in, join. This is my second stream, and we're just trying to figure out what is there really like. Of course, there's a average at us, but I mean, there's different levels to it. But I mean, most people are average, so you know, just depends on what who you're seeking or whatever the situation is, and what is the percentages when it comes down to what's average, what's not, and et cetera, et cetera. So I'm gonna stream for a while.